The lawyer cleared his throat. Everything goes to your brother, Michael. I sat frozen in the leather chair. My father's entire estate, $1.8 million. The family home, the hardware business, even the vintage Rolex I'd given him for his 60th birthday. All of it to Michael. My name wasn't called once, not once. Michael leaned back in his chair across from me. That smirk. The one he'd worn our entire childhood. The golden boy had won again. I thought that was it. I thought I'd been erased. Then the lawyer's hand moved toward a second envelope. Cream-colored, sealed with crimson wax. The room went silent. Why would a parent erase their own child? That's the question I couldn't answer. Not yet. But inside that envelope was proof that everything I'd just heard was a lie. Before we go further, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? And have you ever been written out of something that should have been yours? If this story hits, hit that like button. You're going to want to see how this ends. Let me back up. Growing up, there were 2 kids in our family, Michael and me. But really, there was only one kid who mattered. Michael was the athlete, the straight A student, the one Dad bragged about at barbecues. I was too sensitive, not tough enough, always in my own world. I heard those words so many times they became my name. When Michael made varsity, Dad bought him a truck. When I got into art school, Dad said it was a waste of money. So I didn't go. I left home at 18 with $200 in a duffel bag. Built a quiet life doing freelance graphic design. Small apartment, small circle, no drama. I called home on birthdays, sent cards at Christmas, kept the door cracked. Dad and I were never close. But we were civil. Then 2 years ago, he got sick. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 3, Michael moved back home to take care of him. Suddenly, he was the devoted son. The caretaker, the hero. I called to visit. Not a good time, Michael said. You'll only upset him. I tried again a week later. Dad doesn't want to see you right now. I sent emails, voicemails, texts, radio silence. Here's the thing, though. I save everything. Emails, screenshots, timestamps. It's a habit I picked up freelancing. Cover your back. Keep records. I had no idea those receipts would save me. Dad passed 4 months ago. The funeral was small. Michael gave the eulogy. I sat in the 3rd row and said nothing. And then came the will reading. The lawyer's office smelled like old paper and lemon polish. Michael sat across the table. Crisp suit. Folded hands. Perfect posture. I wore jeans and a sweater. I hadn't expected a performance. The lawyer, Mr. Brennan, opened the folder. This is the last will and testament of Robert Eugene Crawford, executed 14 months ago. 14 months. Right in the middle of Dad's treatment. Brennan read in a monotone. To my son Michael, I leave all real property, including the family home at 42 Oak Street. Michael nodded solemnly. I further leave him my share in Crawford Hardware, valued at approximately $400,000. My chest tightened. The investment accounts held at Fidelity, the vehicle titled in my name, and all personal effects, including jewelry and collectibles. I waited for my name. It came. Once. As for my daughter, I sat up. I specifically and intentionally make no provision. She abandoned this family and showed no care during my final years. The words landed like a slap. Brennan kept reading, but I couldn't hear him anymore. Abandoned? I had called. I had tried. Michael leaned forward, his voice soft. Practiced. I'm really sorry it came to this. But you were never there. I looked at him. That smirk was gone, replaced by something worse. Pity. He stood, shook Brennan's hand. I'll have the house cleared by next week. Let me know when I can pick up the keys. I couldn't breathe. I sat there frozen. Every memory reprocessed itself. Had I been that bad? Had I really abandoned him? I thought about the birthday cards I'd sent. Unsigned because he never wrote back. I thought about the hospital visit Michael refused to arrange. The voicemails I left asking how Dad was doing. Maybe I deserved this. Maybe I really had been the problem. My vision blurred. I pushed back the chair. Brennan was packing his briefcase. Michael was halfway to the door. This was it. Disinherited, erased from my own father's life. I stood on shaking legs. Wait. Brennan's voice was quiet, calm. I turned. He wasn't looking at Michael anymore. He was looking at me. Please sit back down. Michael stopped in the doorway. Brennan reached into his briefcase and pulled out a second envelope. It was thicker than the first, sealed with dark red wax. My name was handwritten across the front in Dad's shaky script. "This was placed in my custody 2 years ago," Brennan said, with very specific instructions. Michael's face went pale. "What is that?" Brennan ignored him. He broke the seal, and everything changed. Inside was a handwritten letter, dated 2 years before Dad died, months before his diagnosis got bad. Brennan unfolded it carefully. "Your father gave me this with explicit instructions. If the primary will disinherits his daughter or shows signs of coercion, I was to open this immediately." He began to read aloud. "To my daughter, if you're reading this, something happened to the real will." My throat closed. Dad's voice, clear, afraid. "Michael has changed. I see the way he looks at my accounts, the way he asks about the business. I've tried to tell myself I'm imagining it." Brennan's voice stayed even, "But I'm not imagining it. He moved in to help, but I think he moved in to wait." Michael stepped forward. He wasn't in his right mind when he wrote that." Brennan held up a hand. "This letter is notarized. 2 independent witnesses signed it. Your father's cognitive eval from that same week shows full capacity." He set the letter on the table. Crimson wax seal. Notary stamp. 2 witness signatures I didn't recognize. "If I'm gone and you've been erased," Brennan continued reading, "fight for the truth. I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to fight myself." I stared at the letter. My father had known. He had tried to protect me. And someone had stopped him. Michael's calm shattered. "This is fabricated. You can't just produce some random letter and—" "It's not random," Brennan said. "It's notarized, filed, and stored in escrow for 2 years. Then she manipulated him into writing it." I found my voice. I wasn't even allowed to see him. Michael spun toward me. "Because you poisoned him against me. You always resented that Dad loved me more." Brennan closed the folder. "Mr. Crawford, I suggest you retain counsel. This will is now contested." "On what grounds?" "Undue influence. Lack of capacity. Potential forgery." The air went out of the room. Michael's voice dropped. "You're going to regret this." "Am I?" I surprised myself. My voice was steady. Brennan looked at me. "There are additional documents. Your father left a safety deposit box. I have the key." Michael's jaw clenched. "I want to see everything," I said. Brennan nodded. "We'll schedule a hearing, 10 days. I'll file a motion to freeze the estate assets until this is resolved." "You can't do that." "I can, and I will." Michael grabbed his coat. "This is elder abuse in reverse. I took care of him. I was there." He slammed the door on his way out. Brennan waited until the echo faded. "Are you ready for this?" I thought about the voicemails, the blocked calls, the birthday cards returned unopened. Yes. Good, because it's going to get worse before it gets better. 2 days later, I met Brennan at the bank. We opened the safety deposit box together. Inside were 3 things. First, an original will, signed and witnessed 3 years ago, before Michael moved in. It left the estate split 50-50 between both of us. Second, a spiral notebook. I opened it. Page after page of dates, amounts, notes in Dad's handwriting. March 4th. Michael asked for $4,000. Said his business needs a loan. June 18th. Michael took me to update my accounts. I didn't understand why. September 9th. My phone settings changed. I can't reach her anymore. Her, me. The final page was written in trembling letters. He told me she doesn't care. I know that's not true. Forgive me. I couldn't speak. Brennan set the notebook down gently. This is documented undue influence. The third item was a medical record. The date the second will was signed. Dad had been in the hospital. Post-anesthesia. Cognitive score flagged as impaired. Brennan took photos of everything. This is enough. I looked at him. Enough for what? Enough to prove he was manipulated. I finally understood. This wasn't about me. It was about control. And Michael had lost. Brennan hired an investigator. It took 3 days to find the truth. Michael's successful business? Bankrupt. He had filed Chapter 7 3 months before moving in with Dad. He owed $140,000. Personal loans? Gambling debts. Maxed credit cards. The investigator pulled bank records. Small transfers at first. 500 here. 1,000 there. Dad's checkbook under caretaking expenses. Then they got bigger. 4,000, 18,000, 32,000. All while Dad was on medication that made him confused and compliant. The second will had been signed during a hospital stay. The witnesses? Michael's girlfriend and her brother. Not legal professionals, not family friends. Both had since moved. No forwarding addresses. The girlfriend's brother had a record, fraud, forgery. Brennan laid it all out on his desk. Golden child syndrome meets financial desperation. I stared at the bankruptcy filing, the bank statements, the witness background checks. He was broke. Dad was vulnerable. And I was easy to erase. Exactly. I took a breath. What do we do? Brennan leaned back. We go to court. And we let the receipts speak. For the first time in months, I smiled. When? Hearing is in 4 days. I nodded. Now I knew exactly what to do. I hired an estate litigation attorney. Her name was Diane Park. Calm, methodical, 20 years specializing in undue influence cases. Her office had glass walls and framed case wins. She listened to everything. Took notes in neat handwriting. When I finished, she looked up. Do you want revenge or do you want justice? I didn't hesitate. Justice. Good. Because revenge is expensive and justice is just expensive. She smiled. We filed 2 motions. First, contest the second will on grounds of undue influence and lack of testamentary capacity. Second, request a temporary freeze on all estate assets. The freeze was granted in 48 hours. Michael couldn't touch a dime. Diane prepped a timeline, a witness list, a forensic document analyst to examine the signatures. She handed me a binder. This is your case. Every receipt, every email, every piece of proof. I flipped through it. It was my life, documented, validated. I'm not doing this for the money, I said quietly. I know. I'm doing it for him. My dad deserved better. Diane nodded. Then let's make sure he gets it. The hearing was in 3 days. I went home, ate nothing, slept 2 hours, and when I woke up, I was ready. I wasn't the overlooked child anymore. I was the one with receipts. Probate court was smaller than I expected. Fluorescent lights, wooden benches, a judge in reading glasses. Michael sat at the defendant's table with his attorney. Expensive suit. Stiff shoulders. I sat with Diane, quiet, calm, ready. The judge called the case. In the matter of the estate of Robert Crawford. Petition to contest will. Diane stood. Your Honor, will demonstrate that the will executed 14 months ago was the product of undue influence exerted over a vulnerable, ill man by his son. Michael's attorney objected, overruled. Diane projected the first exhibit. The original will. Signed 3 years prior, clean. Witnessed by Dad's longtime attorney and his accountant. 50-50 split. This represents Mr. Crawford's true intent, Diane said. Before his son moved in, second exhibit. Dad's hospital records. The day the second will was signed. Cognitive evaluation, 18 out of 30. Moderate impairment. Post-anesthesia confusion documented by 2 nurses. Mr. Crawford was not in a position to make sound decisions that day. Third exhibit. The bank records, $67,000 in transfers. All signed by Michael as caretaker. No receipts. No documentation. No oversight. These funds were systematically drained while Mr. Crawford was incapacitated. Fourth exhibit. Dad's handwritten notebook. The judge leaned forward as Diane read selected entries. My phone settings changed. I can't reach her anymore. Silence in the courtroom. Fifth exhibit. The notarized letter. If you're reading this, something happened to the real will. Michael's attorney stood. Your Honor, this is speculation and it's a contemporaneous statement of intent, Diane said. Notarized, witnessed, legal. The judge waved him down. I'll allow it. Then Diane called Michael to the stand. He walked up slowly, sworn in. When did your father first express a desire to disinherit his daughter? I don't recall the exact date. Was it before or after you filed for bankruptcy? His face flushed. That's irrelevant. Answer the question, Mr. Crawford. After. Diane nodded. And when did you move into his home? 3 months after the filing. Convenient timing. The judge looked over his glasses. Counsel, do you have a closing argument? Diane stood. Your Honor, the evidence is clear. This will was executed under duress by a man who lacked capacity. We ask that it be invalidated, and the original will be admitted to probate. The judge took off his glasses. I've seen enough. He paused. The will executed 14 months ago is hereby declared invalid due to undue influence and lack of testamentary capacity. The original will dated 3 years prior is admitted to probate. The gavel fell. It was over. The settlement took 6 weeks. Michael's half of the estate was reduced by the $67,000 he'd taken improperly. After legal fees and restitution, he walked away with less than $400,000. I received my full share, just over $800,000. But I didn't keep the house. I donated it to a nonprofit that converts family homes into transitional housing for people leaving abuse. They named it Crawford House. Dad would have liked that. The hardware business was sold. Proceeds split per the original will. I used part of my inheritance to fund a scholarship. The Robert Crawford Award for first-generation students pursuing creative fields. The first recipient was a kid from my old neighborhood. Graphic design major. I met him at the award ceremony. Watched him hold the plaque with Dad's name engraved on it. That felt like justice. Michael's reputation crumbled quietly. Cousins who'd sided with him stopped returning his calls. The family grapevine did the rest. I didn't pursue criminal charges. The truth was enough. I went to therapy. Spent a year processing the grief and the betrayal. Not just Dad's death, but the years I'd spent believing I wasn't wanted. A year after the hearing, I got a voicemail from Michael. No words, just breathing. Then a click. I deleted it. I didn't block him. I didn't need to. Boundaries aren't walls. They're just lines you stop crossing. 2 years later, I'm still freelancing. Still in my small apartment. But I sleep better now. I stood in the old house one last time before the nonprofit took over. Ran my hand along the kitchen counter where Dad used to do crossword puzzles. I forgave him. Not for what he did, but for what he couldn't do. He tried to protect me, in his own way. With a letter and a safety deposit box and a lawyer he trusted. That was enough. Here's what I learned. You can't control what people do to you, but you can control what you do with the truth. Michael wanted money. I wanted my father's memory back. We both got what we came for. So let me ask you, have you ever been underestimated by family and then proven them wrong? Drop your story in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story meant something to you, hit that subscribe button. New stories every week. Real people. Real receipts. Real outcomes. One last thing. This story is a fictionalized dramatization based on real events. It is not legal or financial advice. If you're facing something similar, please consult a licensed attorney in your area. Thanks for watching. And remember, keep your receipts. You never know when you'll need them.